and then Norris, in an attempt to get Hurdle at second base, threw the ball into center field. Two and 0 the count, and he's going to the mound. Mike Heath, take charge type of catcher, man who plays that position like an infielder, and I suppose it's appropriate. Mike came up as a shortstop. Also played third and second. Two balls, no strikes to count. And now Norris starting to dig himself a hole with a count 3-0, and that provokes visit number 2 from number 1, Billy Martin.
Well, I think the last thing Billy wants Mike to do is to let them back in the game, and he made a bad pitch to Hurdle. Hurdle's a low fastball hitter, and he threw him a low fastball, which he singled into right center, and then now he's 3-0 and has not thrown a pitch with any kind of idea at all, and I'm sure Billy wants to go out and see if he feels all right.
3-0 pitch, a strike. He didn't mince any words in that last visit with Norris.
No, Billy usually doesn't, but been successful just about everywhere he goes.
3-1 pitch to John Watson is inside. So the Royals are runners at first and second with nobody out. Similar situation taking place in the third inning when the Royals came up empty. Had 2 on, nobody out. And here's UL Washington. And the last time Washington came up, he tried to bunt twice and couldn't, and wound up flying out to center.
Mike Zenkovich, two-man combination.
Oakland ahead 3-0. And the A's will guard against the bunt possibility here. Gross is shallow at third. Washington takes inside after starting to square. Pitch. Again letting it go by outside, and the count 2-0. Big man for Norris to get. Number 9 hitter Hurdle is at second. Watson at first. Nobody out. UL lays it down this time, and it's a good bunt and no play. So they're loaded up with nobody out, and Willie Wilson coming to the plate. Norris in trouble. I spoke with his catcher, Mike Heath, earlier.
Screwball. So all of a sudden he went to the fastball more in his last regular season now. He pitched a superb game against Toronto. What about catching Norris in the playoffs?
Well, Michael has an outstanding screwball, probably, you know, the best I've seen. I haven't seen too many, but it seems like he's lacking a little bit in his screwball this year. I don't know where it's at, but I think he has to throw more fastballs, especially to the right-handed hitters, to keep him honest with the screwball. So I think he has an excellent fastball, and he has to work that in a lot more than what he has been.
The infield fly rule in effect as Willie Wilson pops out on the first pitch. Fred Stanley making the catch. So Wilson with the bases loaded and nobody out going after the first pitch. And popping out, the bases remain loaded, and with 1 down, we'll take a look at Frank White. White has grounded out twice, 0 for 2. In the bullpen, first activity of the day, Tom Underwood, who started and pitched brilliantly against Toronto last week, final week of the regular season, up and throwing back of Norris.
Well, once again, Mike Norris has gotten himself in trouble, but he has the opportunity to get out of it with one good pitch. He can make a good pitch on Frank Whitey and induce him to hit into a double play ball.
Infield double play depth. Pitch is low and inside to Scrooge, and the count 1-0. Line drive steered by Gross to second for the double play. He gets out of it. So the Royals squander another spread in the 5th inning. Another look as Gross makes the catch and throws to McKay for the
like a high
double play.
Not a very good pitch, but probably the second best pitch in baseball, other than the triple play.
At the end of 5, 3-0 Oakland. Back in Kansas City after this word from our local station.
This is ABC.
The totals through 5 innings of play. The A's on top 3-0 on the 3-run homer by Wayne Gross. One of our cameras located behind the fountains here at Royal Stadium in Kansas City, where they're sold out today. Park that holds approximately 40,000. Watching their Royals trailing here 3-0. Mike Norris squelching the threat with some help from Wayne Gross in the bottom of the 5th inning. In the 6th, Dwayne Murphy to lead things off. Curve for a strike, 1-1. Murphy with a single and a walk today. He'll be followed by Drumright and Armas. 0-2 the count. One thing the A's were concerned about, Jim, coming in here to a small extent, playing on AstroTurf, a surface on which they have played very infrequently this season.
Well, they love the Oakland Coliseum, which is natural turf, and I would think it would change the way they play here, but apparently they're going to play at the same depth in the outfield, and you don't get too many bad hops on AstroTurf.
Murphy grounding out to White. Actually, we're calling it AstroTurf. To be more specific, it's Spartan turf. And I guess the difference, basically, it's a little less grainy than your AstroTurf surfaces and somewhat quicker than most AstroTurf fields. Keith Drumright, the batter. Drumright has hit into a double play and grounded out. Game 1, best of 5 American League Western Division Series. Oakland on top. 3-0. Game 2 here tomorrow, off day on Thursday, and then out to Oakland for the balance of the series. Game 3 on Friday, 4 if necessary Saturday, 5 if necessary on Sunday. Drumright tries to bunt his way on, but Watson out in front of the plate to throw him out. AIKENS reaching across to make the grab on the bag, and there are 2 down. Al Michaels and Jim Palmer
The right fielder,
in Kansas City. Howard Cosell, along with Keith Jackson and Don Drysdale, will be with you from County Stadium in Milwaukee tomorrow night for the first game of the Eastern Division Series. 2 down, Tony Armas struck out, reached on an error, fouling it away. 0-1.
Big error, as it turned out to be. And Dennis Leonard's doing what he has to do. I mean, you never like to give up a 3-run home run, but this is where mental toughness comes in, and looks like he's back to making good pitches, and they'll have to keep his ball club in the game by just not really allowing them to score again.
1 ball, 1 strike to count. Armas in the shade. Leonard in the sun. That not only creates problems for the various hitters, but also for our engineers, video-wise, with the shading involved. 2-1 the count. A good illustration there from our low home camera. Tony Armas, as you can see, a blazing start in April, and then a downward curve. He had the flu earlier in the month of September, and that weakened him for a stretch. Not there. Line drive, base hit to left field. Willie Wilson to get it back in. Tony Armas aboard, and that's hit number 4 off Dennis
the
Leonard.
baseman Wayne Gross.
Well, here you'll see just a low fastball, and like any power hitter, likes to get his arms extended. Brett doesn't really have a chance to react.
Armas aboard with 2 down. Gross the batter. Wayne flying to right in the 2nd, and then homering to right in the 4th. 1-0. Armas held on by Aikens. Missing away again, and the count 2 balls and no strikes.
And Leonard's getting into a similar problem he had before, where we got behind in the count and had to throw him a fastball. And Gross is a good fastball hitter, preferably out over the plate.
Grounded sharply to the hole and through for a base hit. Armas is on his way to 3rd as the throw comes into 2nd. Wayne Gross now 2 for 3, and with 2 down, the A's threatened again with runners at 1st and 3rd. And Jim Spencer coming up. Aikens that time holding Armas on, and the ball almost flipping Tony as it went by.
Well, this is what Gross is trying to do. He used that hole, which he did. That ball probably would have been an out if Aikens didn't have to hold the runner on.
Billy Connors, the Kansas City pitching coach, out to the mound. They're stirring around in the Kansas City bullpen. That's Rich Gale, who was a starting pitcher at the outset of the season, getting up to start throwing along with Atlee Hamaker, the rookie left-hander. Leonard was sailing at the outset. Dennis, as Jim Palmer mentioned, with what appeared to be great stuff through 3. Then the transgression by Brett, the error in the 4th inning, kept the inning alive, and Gross took him out. Here in the 6th, he gets the first 2 batters. Armas and Gross have singled, and Spencer 1 for 2 the batter. One to know the count.
Yeah, he's having a lot of problem with his breaking ball. He hasn't thrown a good curveball or slider or a changeup in about 2 or 3 innings now. So it's not the best thing to throw Jim Spencer and Wayne Gross and Tony Armas fastballs in the middle of the plate. You usually aren't very successful doing that. And Spencer's trying to pull the ball right by Aikens again into right field, because this is one of the advantages of being left-handed and having a runner on first base.
Outside, ball 2. 2-0 the count. Billy Martin, ever active in the A's dugout. And one of his disciples, Dick Hauser, of course, was under Billy at New York. Martin has tremendous amount of respect for his opposite number in this series.
Probably because he taught him everything he knows,
yep.
right?
The 2-0 pitch is low, ball 3. 3-0 the count. Yeah, what a contrast, though, in style, too. Martin, the feisty, ever-active one. Hauser with that calm, placid exterior. Three balls, no strikes to count. In there, 3-1. Armas at third. Gross away to his lead at first. And the 3-1 pitch to Spencer is in there for a strike. Off-speed pitch in the count, 3-2. Spencer questioning that call. Have another look.
See, this is a curveball, 3-1 curveball, and it just maybe catches the outside corner. Looked high and outside to me. And to Jim.
Yeah, but you would have argued it.
Oh, you want every pitch you can get.
3-2 the count. Gross will be taking off from first base. There he goes, and the 3-2 pitch is whacked foul down the right field line. Count remains 3-2. So Gross going back to the bag at first with a 3-2 count, and Gross going. Aikens not even paying any attention to Wayne and resuming his normal station at first base. So look there.
Like Frank White is out in short right field. That's one of the advantages of AstroTurf. You can play much deeper.
Especially with somebody like Spencer at the plate. 3-2 pitch is a broken bat, fly ball to left field. Wilson started back, now comes in, and it's time to make the play. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left on. At the end of 5 1/2, it's still Oakland 3, Kansas City nothing.
I've had to write some tough things about some tough guys. But there's one guy I can't write anything bad about. His unique brand of baseball has made him a living legend. So have his commercials. They got me to try his favorite beer, light beer from Miller. Light's less filling, and it really tastes great. So I bought this light for that renowned, yet humble man, Marshall Murray.
Cheer up, Billy. One day you'll be famous, just like me.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Chevrolet announces the biggest news ever in diesel-powered light-duty Chevy trucks. The new 6.2-liter diesel, available in all full-size Chevy pickups, Suburbans, and four-wheel drive Blazers. It's a V8 built for trucks only.
Everybody knows diesels get good mileage. They're more efficient than gas engines of comparable size.
The new 6.2-liter diesel. With so much going for it, it's bound to be popular. Don't wait. Order yours today. Chevy is the power in trucks.
Need a package delivered overnight? Call the Giant. Urolator Courier. A giant fleet of vans delivering overnight within 400 miles. A giant
Brett, Aikens, and Otis, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters in the bottom of the 6th. 1-1 the count. Mike Norris, second last year in the Cy Young balloting. Losing to Steve Stone of the Baltimore Orioles. Bouncing ball to the right side, fielded by Spencer, shovels to Norris. 3-1 in the book. 1 out.
The first baseman, Willie Aikens.
One out, Willie Aikens will be the batter. A reminder, ABC World News tonight later, the complete report on the assassination of Anwar Sadat. Peter Jennings, of course, normally based for us in London, has arrived in Cairo, and he will be anchoring World News Tonight from Cairo later. One out. Willie Aikens, the batter. 1-0 the count. Aikens has singled and fly to center. Count even now at 1-1. Dick Hauser, at 1 year with the Yankees, not good enough apparently. All he did was win the division in 103 games, but he didn't go all the way. So out he went, as did, of course, the man in the other dugout, Billy Martin, for different reasons. One pitch. In for a strike, and the count 1-2.
Looks like Norris a little bit sharper this inning.
Got the inside corner to the chagrin of Aikens, who doesn't believe that call. Just a stare at Maloney, and then back to the dugout.
Center fielder, Amos Clovis.
Well, if you're going to throw Aikens fastballs, you want to keep them up and in, and here with a 1-2 count, he makes a good pitch. Whether the ball is looked a little bit inside, at least Willie thought so, but in the general area.
2 down. Amos Otis is the batter. Checks his swing, and the pitch misses, ball 1. Heath wants an appeal at first. Don't get the call. 1-0 the count. 3 runs, 5 hits, and 1 error for the A's. No runs, 4 hits, and 1 error for the Royals. Sounded like aluminum as it left the bat. Fly ball to center field. Murphy is there and makes the catch to retire to side. 3 up and 3 down for Norris. Royals gone in the 6th. On to the 7th we go, with Oakland still leading Kansas City 3-0.
These fellas did a heck of a job painting GM cars, almost every time. Today at General Motors, as a result of the world's largest industrial redesign program, we are developing the industry's most advanced computer-controlled paint system. As it is installed in our plants over the next several years, it will paint cars with precision every time. General Motors, the future of transportation is here.
Sometimes I don't want my kids watching what's on TV, but they can still watch something great with our RCA video disc player and video disc. Just flip a switch, and on our TV, our kids can see the magic of Walt Disney and Charlie Brown, the Muppets and Mickey Mouse, the Black Stallion, Star Trek, and lots more, starting at only $15, and the player costs less than $500.
Hello, Charlie Brown. Bring the magic home on RCA. Thursday tonight, ABC is the place.
For the season premiere of Bosom Buddies.
I think you should tell her.
Will Henry and Kip finally blow their cover? Then Jim predicts Alex's future.
We were expecting you.
So expect the unexpected on the season premiere of Taxi. Then, from zany comic to dramatic actress, 2020 profiles television's First Lady, Carol Burnett. And can the Coast Guard stop the smuggling of human cargo from Haiti?
Thursday on ABC.
Royal Stadium in Kansas City. Ballpark opening in 1973, one of the very few modern stadiums in the country to be built exclusively for baseball. No multi-purpose facility here in KC. When they did it, they built the park for the Royals and the park across the parking lot for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Royals 0-10, as you can see in home games here this season, when they have trailed after 6, and that is the case right now as we go to the 7th inning. A's on top 3-0. That's Dave McKay, who will follow Heath, standing in to lead things off. And then we'll see Stanley. Dennis Leonard working on the bottom 3 in the batting order. 0-1 on Heath. Mike has grounded to short and struck out, 0-2. checks in time. 1-1 the count.
Hit a home run off me this year. 2 strikes, no balls, didn't know where to throw it. So I threw it down the middle and he hit it over the fence.
How could you throw an 0-2 pitch down the middle? Fouled away.
I worked on it for about 17 years.
What did Earl say to you?
I think he was in shock.
All right, how did he look at you then?
I don't look in the dugout anymore.
1 ball, 2 strikes the count. Jim Palmer of the Baltimore Orioles. You didn't bring Earl along with you on the trip, did you?
No, I don't think he's here. Told me if I needed any help, he'd be along in Oakland.
Hit in the air, shallow left field and down the line as Willie Wilson moves over, goes into foul ground, and makes the catch. 1 down. Dick Hauser in the Kansas City dugout. I talked to Billy Martin earlier about Dick.
He assessed the Kansas City club, a team now being managed by a man who worked under you.
Well, I think he's a fine manager. I think he's a great manager. I think he's Dick Hauser is going to go down and be one of the best managers of baseball, as far as I'm concerned. They're a fine ball club. They're a running club. They've got good hitting. They've got power. But I think the question mark, as far as I'm concerned, is in their pitching. Their 2 left-handed starters have to go against us, and our right-handed hitting is very strong. So I think we're going to go after them. If we beat Leonard the first game, they have a chance of really hurting us.
He has Leonard beaten right now in the 7th inning, 3-0. Dave McKay, 0 for 2, hits a bouncing ball to the hole, but White is there to fill up the gap. Throw him out, 2 down. Fred Stanley.
The shortstop, Fred.
Well, this is why Frank White wins Golden Gloves. He doesn't have to worry about a bad hop on AstroTurf. He just goes over, he has excellent speed, and there's plenty of time to throw him out.
Stanley is 0 for 2. Takes a strike on the outside corner. 0-1 the count. Stanley, who played for Billy Martin with the Yankees. Billy likes to go after guys that he knows and have played for him. Mickey Klutz would be another example. He's got Jim Spencer. Made the deal for Jim. Cliff Johnson would be another. Call, strike 3. Stanley upset over the call. As the pitch, according to Maloney anyway, gets the outside corner. Getting the black
here you'll see an outside, looks like just a fastball that looks like it's off the plate, but George Maloney thought it was a strike.
This is radiator rust. It's building up after just 10,000 miles on weak, neglected antifreeze. Now look at a radiator protected with new improved Prestone 2 after the same miles. Quite a difference. Introducing the new silicone silicate formula Prestone to lock out rust and corrosion in all metals. Now it's even stronger for better aluminum protection. New improved Prestone 2. The best seller just got better. No wonder we're #1.
When you put on a Century 21 Gold jacket, you change your life.
I've always earned a good living, but with Century 21, I'm earning real rewards. We get professional training and management backs us all the way.
Last year, I was a card and a time clock. Now I'm with #1, and that makes me feel like #1.
For more about a career with Century 21, stop by any local Century 21 office and let's talk. It could change your life.
You're America's #1 top seller, Century 21.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
7th inning stretch here in Kansas City on a windy day, temperature in the 60s. A reminder coming up tomorrow, game #2 in this series. Steve McCanny will be on the mound for Oakland. Mike Jones will work for Kansas City at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And then the American League Eastern Division Series beginning tomorrow night from County Stadium in Milwaukee, the Brewers against the Yankees. Al McRae in the bottom of the 7th inning takes inside for a ball, 1-0. McRae, Hurdle, and Watson. 3-0 Oakland. A strike, 1-1. Norris coming off a shutout last week, now his 15 consecutive scoreless innings. Fouled away. And the count of 1-2. McRae, like the rest of the Royals, that is symbolic of the way the team picked up, boosting his average 61 points in the second half. 2-2 the count.
Well, as you know, Al, they don't have many guys hit the ball out of the ballpark. Willie AIKENS, as you said, is the only guy with double figures. For them to win today, they're going to have to get some base runners because, as Dick Hauser said, as George Brett said, for them to play the running game, they have to have the guys on base, and that's something they didn't do the first half of the season.
3-2. The Royals have had 2 great chances today. First and second, nobody out in the third. Washington couldn't bunt the runners along, but then he did to load the bases in a similar situation in the 5th. And the A's were able to pull off a double play. Hit in the air to left field. Ricky Henderson is over to make the play. 1 gone. 6 straight set down by Mike Norris, and up comes Clint Hurdle. Sold out at Kansas City. Royals, as we mentioned, 5th time in 6 years in postseason play. For the A's, of course, a team that formed a dynasty in the early 70s. This is Oakland's first postseason competition since 1975 when they lost to the Red Sox in the playoffs. A strike on 1. Hurdle obviously not particularly upset. Able to work up a grin in the 0-1 pitch. 1-1. The crowd, though, is getting all over Maloney now.
Well, George, I'll tell you what, he handles Earl Weaver better than any umpire I've ever seen. He goes way back with Earl.
Fly ball to center field from Murphy. 2 gone in the 7th inning. 7 in a row set down by Norris.
The catcher, John Watson.
And up comes Watson.
George Maloney never loses sight of is that the game is played by the players, and he doesn't upset them when they look at him badly or say something to him. He just goes out and does his job, realizes that that's what he's there for. Just waves at Earl, which really annoys him.
1-1 the count. Doing 1 on Watson. Crowd, they haven't had much to cheer about today. Hale let out of the balloon in the 5th inning. Unable to score with the bases loaded and nobody out. Half swing foul. And the count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, they're here in body, but I'm not so sure about mine. There's been a lot of conjecture whether the Royals really deserve to be here. 3 games under 500, even though they have played well of late.
Well, let's face it, the whole season is a total aberration. We hope. I hope we can put all future split seasons to rest.
I would hope so.
3-2 pitch is chopped foul. Took a nuclear physicist to figure out all of the possibilities in the last week of the season as to which club would meet which club and possible makeup games. They needed 1, of course, yesterday in Cleveland to determine the second half champion in the American League West. 3-2 pitch. is a little one-hopper back at second. Stanley makes the play and gets him. A little quiver on one hop back of the bag, and Watson is gone as the Royals go down here in the 7th inning.
It looks like a ball right off Rothen's fifth, and Stanley going hard to his left gets the ball beyond. I think probably the only reason he threw him out is because he got jammed and he didn't get out of the box as well as he could. Close play, but looks to me he's out.
So at the end of 7, 3-0 Oakland, back in Kansas City after this word from our local station.
This is ABC.
Now you go from darkness to light to darkness.
Shane Young and Bill Gibbs report to fan accommodation.
On to the 8th inning at Royal Stadium in Kansas City, Game 1 of the American League Western Division Series. 3-0 Oakland. We're late tuners in. Only scoring in the game in the 4th inning. Dwayne Murphy drew a walk. Went to second when Drumright bounced out, and with 2 down, Tony Armas hit a routine grounder to George Brett. He threw it in the dirt. Willie Aikens couldn't come up with it. That prolonged the inning, and Wayne Gross teed off on Leonard, hit a 3-run homer. The Royals have had 2 threats in the 3rd and in the 5th, but unable to cash in. And so we go to the 8th inning. Still Leonard against Norris, and the A's on top 3-0 with Henderson, Murphy, and Drumright coming up in that order. Ricky Henderson fly to center twice and grounded to short. 0-1 the count. Now you've got a situation where Leonard stands in the shade. The backdrop for the batter is in the sun, and there's a split of sunlight right out in front of home plate with the batter's box in the shadows. Not the loveliest of situations for a hitter. Henderson running up the bunt, letting it go by, and taking what he didn't think was a strike, but Maloney did. Maloney must also have a pretty good sense of humor, I would think.
Oh, he does.
He's gotten Hurdle and Henderson to smile as Ricky hits one right back to Leonard. One away. One out, and Murphy coming up.
The center fielder, Dwayne Murphy.
Well, I think George admits that he's human. He's going to miss pitches, and when you do that, it seems like the hitters or even the pitchers are able to withstand that. It's the guy that really bothers you that never missed a pitch, and every time you say something, gets pretty upset about it.
0-1 the count on Murphy. Dennis Leonard, as you can see, with the 2 shutouts this season, and today all 3 runs would be unearned, of course, because of the error by Brett that prolonged the inning. 1-1 the count. One and one. As Murphy takes low, and the count 2-1. Of course, in a 5-game playoff series, when you start on the road, what you're hopeful of is, at worst, a split. Then you know you go home and you play the rest of the games in your ballpark. So a victory for the A's, as Murphy swings and misses, would be exactly what the doctor had ordered in this particular situation, because then you come back here tomorrow, and even if you get beat, you go home for a best of 3, and all the games are on your turf.
Except for Kansas City, I think, has one of the best road records of any ball club in baseball, maybe other than the Yankees.
They were 6 games over 500 on the road this season, were the Royals. And here in Kansas City, they were 9 games under. So when you talk about a home field advantage, the Royals say almost to a man, what are you talking about? Matter of fact, most of them said they would rather not have even gone to Cleveland.
Exactly, because as Brett said, there isn't any home field advantage in baseball.
2-2 pitch is fouled away out of play. The situation developing yesterday where the Royals had to go to Cleveland because they lost on Sunday here to the A's. And if you took the poll, they would have said, well, we might as well just forfeit the games. What's the difference? We don't want to go to Cleveland. Might as well stay at home, begin the series here, and just play 1 game in Kansas City. For all the difference that they felt the home field advantage makes. But they went because that's not what baseball needed this season. Have somebody say we're not going to go and make up a game. 2-2 pitch is high, ball 3. Full count on Murphy. 3-0 A's in the 8th. Count remains full with Drumright on deck. Hit high in the air to deep right field, and Hurdle will watch this one wind up in the bullpen and well back in the pen. Dwayne Murphy, who hit 15 during the regular season, teeing off on a 3-2 offering from Dennis Leonard, and the A's move out on top by a score of 4-0. And Royal Stadium in Kansas City is silent right now as Murphy stretches the advantage. 4-0 Oakland.
Belt high fastball out over the plate, and that's the problem of getting behind early. You just can't afford to give up any other runs. It really makes it difficult to win. They don't seem too terribly excited.
1-0 the count on Drumright. In the bullpen, Rennie Martin. Atlee Hamaker throwing. The 1-0 pitch is fouled away. And the count 1-1. National League Series between Los Angeles and Houston getting underway tonight. The other series in the National League, Philadelphia, Montreal, commencing tomorrow as Drumright looks at a strike. American League East beginning tomorrow night. We'll have it for you at 8 Eastern time as the Yankees take on the Brewers at County Stadium, Milwaukee, in postseason competition for the first time in the history of that franchise. Though not the city, of course, as Drumright lines one into left field for a base hit. Hit number 7 off Dennis Leonard. Dick Hauser, watching his team play very well in September, but today, the error by Brett, opening up the gates, and then 2 squandered opportunities in the 3rd and in the 5th. As the A's move out to a 4-0 lead, and ARMAS stands in 1-3. 0-1 the count.
It really seems like Tony Armas came out of nowhere. I mean, he was with the A's for about 4 years and only played every once in a while, and then all of a sudden last year he looked up, he had 35 home runs.
Armas came over from Pittsburgh in a deal that turned out to be a most successful one. Brett charges field and throws him out. And there are 2 down. 2 away with Drumright advancing to second, and Gross will be the hitter.
It was just a high chopper. Here's George exhibiting. He has a strong arm, just sometimes a little bit inaccurate. Makes a nice play there, though.
To follow up on what you mentioned before about Armas, Armas coming over from Pittsburgh in the same deal that brought Rick Langford to Oakland in 1977. That was a deal that was made by Charlie Finley, of course, who has been the object of much derision and scorn in Oakland for the way that he handled the ball club and promoted the ball club, or didn't promote the ball club, and of course almost sold the team to Marvin Davis of Denver a couple of years ago. New local ownership coming in, but you got to hand it to Charlie when it comes to making deals. 1-0 the count. Gross with a runner at second and 2 down. The 1-0 pitch is outside, and the count 2 balls and no strikes. Had a graphic a moment ago that showed that Wayne has not been particularly proficient in clutch situations, but that's not the case today. He has been the big man, not only with a 3-run home run, but started the double play that got him out of trouble in the 5th inning. To right center field, and Hurdle makes a running catch as the wind helped carry it. But Gross is gone, and the sign is retired. In the 8th inning, Murphy gets a home run to stretch the advantage. 2 hits, end of 7.5, 4-0 A's.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret. If it wasn't for Grecian Formula, they'd soon be calling me a gray-haired ball player. But gray hair's not for Pete Rose. So I started using Grecian Formula.
Grecian Formula. It does away with as much gray as you want, some of it or all of it. And the change is so gradual and so natural looking, no one notices.
If I had gray hair like this, my teammates would laugh and call me Old Man River. Hey, listen, if the gray-haired league's not for you, get Grecian Formula.